All right, welcome to the Goal Setting Workshop. My name is Samantha, and I am the Health Initiative Coordinator here at Piedmont Community Services. And in this workshop, we're going to talk about goal setting and what all that entails so that we can make sure that we are improving our overall wellness. So, why does goal setting matter? Goals give us clarity, so they help us focus our energy instead of feeling overwhelmed. They often provide motivation because having goals gives us something to work towards, even on hard days. It gives us direction, and they act as a roadmap when life feels busy or uncertain. They also give us confidence because every small win builds that momentum and self trust that you can actually show up for yourself and actually get stuff done. Without goals, we would often live on autopilot, and that just includes reacting instead of choosing how we want to spend our time. So you don't need to know the entire path just to take the next step. Sometimes goal setting feels overwhelming, and we like to have these big, broad goals, but you just want to have what can you do next to be able to accomplish some of those goals. So let's talk about broad goals versus smart goals. Many people do like to set broad goals, such as I want to be healthier, I want to save more money, I want less stress. And these goals are too broad sometimes and they don't get accomplished. So the broader your goals, the less direction you have in them. Long-term broad goals can be more challenging because, again, they feel like there's no direction. These goals can be meaningful, but they can also feel overwhelming because they don't tell you what you need to do next. That's where SMART goals come in. So, our SMART goals are going to give us a roadmap of what actually needs to get done to be able to accomplish these overall broad goals, and small actions are going to lead to sustainable success. Let's talk about the goal ladder concept. So, we want to make sure that when you are setting goals, you don't jump to the top of the ladder. You want to climb it one step at a time. The top of the ladder is for big long-term goals like I want to be healthier, or I want to lose weight, or I want to clean my whole house. Those are very broad, big long-term goals. Our middle rungs are for our SMART goals because they are going to help support the momentum to get to the top of the ladder. And then our bottom rungs are going to be our small daily or weekly tasks that we need to accomplish to be able to reach those SMART goals. An example of how the goal ladder concept works is that a long-term goal is to improve overall health. The SMART goal is to lose 10% of body weight by April by focusing on meeting macronutrients for 3 meals and one snack a day. The small tasks, so the bottom rungs that need to be accomplished, are prep foods for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack, create a daily menu, use airtight containers to store prepped food, and go to the grocery store with a grocery list for the week. So as you can see, that's a breakdown of how to use the goal ladder concept by breaking it down into the long-term goal. What are the SMART goals that you need to set for direction to meet that goal? And then what are the small tasks to get done to be able to make those SMART goals achievable? Some common barriers to goal setting, because a lot of people do struggle with goals, and it's because they try to change too much at one time. So we don't want to make ourselves feel overwhelmed and eventually just give up on our goals because we're trying to change too much at one time. What that can look like is that you went from eating fast food 3 times a day to eating it none at all. That is a very drastic change, and that might not be feasible for your lifestyle. It could also look like you're trying to add water and drink more water. Maybe you're trying to eat more fruits and vegetables. You're trying to cook more at home. You're trying to show up for work on time. You're trying to be more productive at work. You're trying to watch less TV. That is a lot of goals all at one time, and that's a lot of change all at one time for your body. Us as humans, we don't typically love change. So that's what I want you to focus on as we're doing this goal setting workshop, or what are some small changes that you can accomplish to get you to those bigger goals? A lot of people struggle because they set goals on the shoulds instead of the goals that align with their core values. So maybe you went to your doctor and your doctor told you that you needed to lose weight. You didn't really have that as a goal set for this year, but because your doctor told you that you should lose weight, then that might have become one of your goals, but that didn't really align with one of your core values versus maybe one of your core values was to um, work on your hobbies a little bit more. And by working on your hobbies a little bit more, that's something that's meaningful to you. And that's also probably going to reduce some of your stress as well because it actually means something. A lot of people struggle because they expect motivation to come first and then they expect it to stay as well. So, us as humans, our motivation is very fleeting. It's not going to stay constant. And it's something that I want you to remember as you're setting these goals is that you want to make sure that your goal is aligned with your core values because your motivation is not going to show up every single day. That doesn't mean that you can't show up to complete your goals every single day. They don't plan for setbacks. That's another common struggle for people that are trying to set goals. We like to look at the glass half full sometimes in the world, and we don't really expect a lot of challenges sometimes, and that's not something that is sustainable for goal setting. You want to make sure that you have a plan for those setbacks. An example of that would be maybe you had to stay at work a little bit later to finish a project for work, but it ate into your time that you would typically spend at the gym to work out. And then you didn't go to the gym, you broke your streak, you broke your motivation, and then we haven't went to the gym for the next 2 weeks because we didn't keep our streak up and then we felt like a failure and then that went into the downward spiral. So we want to make sure that we have a plan for those setbacks and that might look like you have a backup exercise routine that you can do at home for maybe 10 to 15 minutes so that you make sure that you're staying consistent with your goals. This workshop isn't about fixing yourself. It's about creating goals that work with your life, not against it. Again, we want those goals to align with you and what you value. So if you don't feel like it's something important and something that you should be working on, then you're not going to accomplish it. Why are SMART goals powerful? So, SMART goals are powerful because they feel more achievable, they reduce fear of failure, they fit into our real life, they build consistency and confidence, they create momentum over time. So, these SMART goals aren't less important goals, they're actually building blocks for long term behavior change. We want to make sure that we have habits set in place for us to be able to make change long term. We don't want to just do something for the next 30 days and then we lose that habit. We want to make sure that the goals we set build the habits so that we're doing these tasks or these activities for the next 30, 40, 50 plus years. Okay. This is how we create momentum with setting goals that improve our overall wellness. So let's make your goals SMART. So what does that mean? SMART stands for specific. So your goal should be simple but important. It stands for measurable. Your goal should be trackable, attainable. Your goal should be realistic and achievable. Relevant, your goal should matter to you. And then time bound, your goal should have a deadline. When you're setting your goals, you want to make sure that all of these categories are in place so that you can make your goals SMART. We're in the next few slides, we're going to go over some questions that you can use as you are listing out these goals on your worksheets that you've gotten. That way you can test to see if your goal matches all of these criteria, meaning it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant, and it's time bound. So let's get into that. If you are watching this video, make sure that you pause after we get through all the questions, and then you can either write them down or as you're setting your goals, ask yourself these questions and then go to the next category. So first, your goal needs to be specific. What do you want to accomplish? Why is this goal important to you? What limits are you concerned about? What type of support do you need to accomplish this goal? What resources will you need to accomplish this goal? So again, I want you to take some time to think about a goal that you want to accomplish, whether it's this year or this month, and then I want you to write down that goal, and then I want you to use these questions to make it more specific. So what do you want to accomplish? Why is this goal important to you? What limits are you concerned about? What type of support do you need to accomplish this goal? What resources will you need to accomplish this goal? Next, our goals need to be measurable. The questions you can ask yourself when you get to this category is how much do you need to complete or reach your goal? How many days are you going to work towards your goal? How will you know when you have accomplished your goal? Do you have a specific date for when you want to reach your goal? Again, I want you to pause the video and ask yourself these questions to make your goal measurable. How much do you need to complete to reach your goal? How many days are you going to work towards your goal? How will you know when you have accomplished your goal? Do you have a specific date for when you want to reach your goal? Next, your goal needs to be attainable. So these are the questions I want you to ask yourself to make sure your goal is attainable. How can you accomplish the goal? What is it going to take? How realistic is the goal? Is the goal too difficult to accomplish within your time frame? Again, take some time to think about your goal and then ask these questions and then make adjustments to your goal based off of them. How can you accomplish the goal? What is it going to take? How realistic is the goal? Is the goal too difficult to accomplish within your time frame? The next part is your goal needs to be relevant. These are the questions I want you to ask yourself to make sure that your goal is relevant. Does the goal seem worth it to complete? Is it the right time to work towards this goal? Does the goal matter to you? Will the goal give you a sense of purpose or satisfaction? Again, take some time, write down your goal, and then ask yourself these questions to make sure the goal is relevant to you. Does the goal seem worth it to complete? Is it the right time to work towards this goal? Does the goal matter to you? Will the goal give you a sense of purpose or satisfaction? And lastly, your goal needs to be time bound. So when you get to this part of the workshop, have your goal ready and then ask yourself these questions. When do you want to achieve the goal? Does the goal need to be broken down into more steps? How many days, weeks, months will it take you to achieve this goal? Again, pause the video, write down your goal, and then ask yourself these questions to make sure your goal is time bound. When do you want to achieve the goal? Does the goal need to be broken down into more steps? How many days, weeks, or months will it take you to achieve this goal? So there's different templates to write your SMART goals. Let's kind of go over them. If you're writing a goal, you can start it with this template. So who will do what, resulting in by. Who will do what, resulting in a measurement by when. The who is specific. The what's also specific. The measurement is making it measurable. The attainable is when are you going to actually do it? Is that realistic? So relevant, does it matter to you? And then time bound is the when in the measurement. The next template is by when, who will do what, resulting in measurement. by when, who will do what, resulting in the measurement. Specific, so we're talking about when is it going to get done, who's going to do it, what will they do, and what's the result. It's measurable because we're measuring when and the measurement. It's attainable because we are going to make sure that it is something we can do within that certain time frame. It's going to be relevant because it's going to matter to you, and then time bound. We're setting a deadline. The next template is by when, and then the measure, which includes who and what. So by when, what are we actually measuring? And who's going to accomplish it, and then what is it going to accomplish. This one's a little bit more broad. Personally, I like to use the first two for writing the templates for the goals. Another one that's a little bit more broad for a SMART goal is measure, which includes who and what, and then by when. So again, you can use those templates. Personally, I like to use the first two. Let's talk about an example of a SMART goal. So a goal is I want to grow a garden. That's one of my personal goals. It's specific because specifically I want to, it's not a SMART goal yet. So specifically I want to grow carrots and potatoes and lettuce and blueberries. My measurement is I'm going to measure my progress by keeping track of how many garden and YouTube videos I watch, how many seeds I sprout, and how much produce I yield at the end of the season. I feel like it's attainable because I already have a garden trellis area already set up, and I can afford to purchase seeds at the store. I do have time in the mornings that I can water my garden, and then I plan to harvest in the evenings. It's relevant because eating healthy is important to me, and I want to learn how to grow my own food. That's one of my core values. And then it's time bound because I'm going to watch YouTube videos and learn how to start my seeds by March. If I don't start them, then they're not going to do well into the garden in season if they haven't sprouted by then. I want to grow 5 pounds of carrots, 10 pounds of potatoes, and enough lettuce to make a salad once a week, 10 pounds of blueberries by the end of the gardening season, which usually is in September, sometimes October. So my SMART goal is going to be that I will start 20 seedlings of each plant, carrots and lettuce in this specific example, by March 1st. I will prune my blueberry bush in April to get it ready for the season. I will use a 5-gallon bucket and potato spuds to grow potatoes starting in May. I'm setting a timeline or a deadline for when I'm going to do these things. So by the end of September, I will harvest 5 pounds of carrots, 10 pounds of potatoes, enough lettuce to make a salad once a week, and 10 pounds of blueberries. So this is kind of an example of what a SMART goal looks like. And then the next step is to create some action steps for how I'm actually going to achieve this goal. And that's what we're going to work on in our worksheets, is creating those action steps. Or basically, when we talked about the goal ladder, that was the bottom rungs. What are those daily and weekly tasks that I need to do to get my goal completed? So hopefully this was a good workshop for you. And if you have any questions, this is my contact information. You can send me an email at sturner@piedmontcsb.org, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have and help you set some goals to improve your overall health and wellness. Thanks for joining.